Good morning students, how are you all? I hope you all are fine and safe at home. Myself Shweta Mudgal, a representative of Shiv Jyoti Educational Group, Kota. Students, today we will start with History, Chapter 5, When People Rebel. Take out your book, page number 51. As it is clear from the meaning when people rebel, means when they started protesting or criticizing the British rule. What happened afterwards, I will explain you in this chapter. The topics and the subtopics which we are going to cover as here. Number 1, policies and the people. Subtopics A, B, C, Nawabs lose their power. B, the peasants and the sepoys. C, responses to the reform. Number 2, a mutiny becomes a popular rebellion. Number A, from Meerut to Delhi. Number B, the rebellion spreads. 3, the company fights back. And number 4, aftermath. Students, we will cover topic number 1 and 2 in this video, and topic number 3 and 4 will be covered in the next video. Let's start. That is part 1 and part 2, 3 and 4 topic will be covered in part 2. So start. Policies and the rebel. Before that, I want to tell you the brief story what was behind that, as we have explained in the previous chapter. As you know, the main motto of the East India Company was to annex the territories. And what was the impact of their actions and the policies in the India on the Nawabs, rulers, Rajas, peasants, sepoys and the common people, and how they resist. Nawabs lose their power. Nawabs and Rajas lost their authority and power since the mid 18th century. Basically, we are talking about the revolt of 1857. So, the Nawabs and the Rajas were gradually and slowly started reducing their powers. Their powers have gone. Everybody who was demanding for the succession was being suppressed. Their territories, their revenues were taken away by different stages. In order to protect their interests, many ruling families tried to negotiate with the company. First, the Rani Lakshmi Bai, and the second is Nana Sahib. He was the adopted son of the Bajirao Peshwa II. When he asked Britishers, when he pleaded that he be given the pension of his father, when later he died, it was refused. And the Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi wanted the company to recognize her adopted son as the heir to the kingdom after the death of her husband, but the company turned down these pleas. They refused. What was their main motto? To annex the territories as much as they can. The last territory, Awadh, they said that it was misgoverned, so it should come under the control of the East India Company. Awadh was one of the last territories to be annexed. They were trying to annex the Awadh also, and the Mughal dynasty to an end. What they did for that? They removed the name of the Mughal rulers from the coins minted at that time. And in 1849, General Dalhousie announced that after the death of the Bahadur Shah Jafar, his family would be shifted out of the Red Fort and given some another place in Delhi to reside. Are you getting my point? All these are the efforts that will be done by the Britishers, that was done by the Britishers to annex the territories, and what the laws will be being passed by them time to time. In 1849, Governor General Dalhousie announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Jafar, none of his descendants would be recognized as kings. They would just be called the princes. Means Bahadur Shah Jafar was the last Mughal emperor. Here is the picture of the Bahadur Shah Jafar and the Rani Lakshmi Bai. Students, now it was spread among the common people. Everybody was suffered from that. They tried to become a rebellion. They tried to revolt. What they did so, and how the different sections of the society suffered from that, including peasants and the sepoys. Peasants were suffered a lot, as I have told you in the indigo plantation time. Maybe you must be remember that. Peasants and zamindars from the countryside resented the high taxes. They were very much under the pressure of the high taxes, revenue collection, taxation system, the rigid methods of revenue collection which they have to follow, which was not quite possible for them because they were under the grip of loans, as I have told you indigo plantation time. Many lost their lands as they failed to pay back their loans to the money lenders. They lost their lands because they were not in a condition to pay back their loans. Getting? The second, the Indian sepoys, they also suffered a lot, bachcho, but employees of the companies were unhappy. They were quite unhappy by the working condition. How it's so? In that time, it was believed that if the sepoys crossed the sea, they would lose their customs and the religion. They didn't want to cross the sea, but at that time, when the Britishers forced them to go to Burma and fight for them, they refused. They didn't want to go, although they were ready to go by land, but they refused. But they were harshly punished, and this situation didn't lie there. Here only they were severely punished, and the company passed a new law in 1856, which stated that every new person who took up employment in the company's army had to agree to serve overseas if required. It was a condition in the law that was passed in 1856. If they were getting employment under them, they have to obey them. They have to do whatever being demanded by them, by the Britishers. So all these conditions were creating a kind of revolt, kind of feeling of revolt among the common people. Responses to reforms. Now what happens? The Britishers here wanted to bring the reforms in the society, bring the changes in the society. The British reformed Indian society by passing law to stop the practice of sati. They passed a law to stop the practice of sati and to encourage the remarriage of widows. They promoted English education rather than Hindi, and after 1830, Christian missionaries were allowed to function freely in its domain and own land and property. Now what happened? They passed a law to convert into Christianity easier. But what was the feeling among the Indians? They thought that they were trying to destroy their religion, their caste and their traditional beliefs. But students, however, at the same time there was a kind of group who wanted to change in the existing social practices. So they passed a law to enforce them to turn into the Christianity, to adopt the Christian religion. To convert into Christianity easier, the law allowed Indian Christians to inherit the property of their ancestors. Means they will be able to get the property of their ancestor if they convert themselves into the Christianity. How cruel it was, no? Now, a mutiny becomes popular rebellion. Students, mutiny means when a group of soldiers started disobeying their officers. The meaning is given on page number 55, right hand side, mark it and underline it. It is very important for you to know. In May 1857, English East India Company faced a massive rebellion in several places. Sepoys mutined. They become together. They start forming groups, beginning from Meerut, and it started from the Meerut in the northern part of the India, and large number of people from different sections of society rose up in rebellion. They got the sight of all the members, all the society members of the different section. Students, here although the struggle between the ruler and the ruled are not quite unusual, but sometimes it spreads quite widespread. So it becomes very difficult for to handle the situation. But many people began feeling that they are having a common enemy and they should rise against them at a same time. For such a situation to develop, people have to develop organization, communication, take initiative and shows confidence to turn the situation around. It is considered as the biggest armed resistance to colonialism in the 19th century. We are talking about 1857 revolt. Next topic is from Meerut to Delhi. As I told you, it started from Meerut. On 29th March 1857, Mangal Pandey was hanged to death for attacking officers in Barakpur. He attacked the officers in Barakpur, that's why he was hanged to death. Some sepoys of the regiment Meerut refused to do army drill using the new cartridges suspected of being coated with the fat of cows and pigs. They refused to use that cartridges because of suspected of being coated with fat and of cows and pigs. Here they begin to feel that Britishers are playing with their sentiments and the religious beliefs. So they started resisting against the policies and the actions who were harming their interests and goes against their sentiments. On 9th May 1857, 85 sepoys were dismissed from service and sentenced to 10 years in jail. For what? Disobeying their officers as they formed the mutiny. I have told you earlier. The soldiers released the imprisoned sepoys from the Meerut jail on 10th May. They were released on 10th May. The soldiers were determined to bring an end to their rule in the company. But who could rule on the land? This was a big question. Then they proclaimed the Bahadur Shah Jafar as their leader. They went to them and requested to him. The sepoys rode all night of 10th May and reached Delhi in the early hours next morning and gathered in the Red Fort demanding to meet the Badshah, means the Bahadur Shah Jafar. Bahadur Shah Jafar accepted and demand and wrote letters to all the chiefs and the rulers of the country to come forward to fight the British. This single step had a great implication. I must tell you, the step taken by the Bahadur Shah Jafar had great implications over the revolt of 1857. The British thought that the disturbance caused by the issue of the cartridges would die down. It was not accepted by the Britishers to happen. It was just a different case for them. They were not ready to accept it. But the entire situation, when the Bahadur Shah Jafar bestowed the soldiers, Indian soldiers, it was changed the situation dramatically. The people began to feel courage, enthusiasm and hope. The rebellion spread. Now it spread over all the northern part, including the nodal points Lucknow, Meerut, Kanpur, Delhi. From different sections of the society, even the zamindars, they all started coming and joined them all together. The British were routed from Delhi and for almost a week there was no uprising. Nana Sahib, as I have told you in the beginning, adopted son of Bajirao Peshwa, proclaimed himself Peshwa, gathered armed forces and expelled the British garrison from the city. Students, as I have told you, that the Nawabs lose their power at that time when they begin to feel that if the Bahadur Shah Jafar could come again, they would also get their territories again and could rule under the Mughal authority. I hope you are getting it. This is very interesting chapter and I am telling you it in the form of a story. In Lucknow, as I have told you, nodal points like Lucknow, Meerut, Kanpur. From Lucknow, Birjis Qadir proclaimed the new Nawab. In Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai, you all know about her. She was a very brave woman, joined the rebel sepoys and fought the British along with Tatya Tope, the general of Nana Sahib. What happened before that, after the 100 years of conquest and ruling, it threatened the very presence of the company here. They felt a big rebellion, massive rebellion against them. It was not, the situation was not under their control. They were under the pressure, under the fear. They were not expecting this to happen at all. In the Mandla region of Madhya Pradesh, Rani Avanti Bai, Lodi of Ramgarh, raised and led an army against the British. Why she did so? Because her territory was taken away by the Britishers. So she was against the British who had taken over the administration of her state. This is the picture showing you here the Avanti Bai. The British were defeated in a number of battles. Now they started losing battles. At that time, Lieutenant Colonel on 6th August wrote a letter, Lieutenant Colonel Tytler wrote a letter to Commander-in-Chief expressing the fear felt by the Britishers. They told them to do something, to take an action. A situation of widespread popular rebellion developed in the region of Awadh in particular. Many new leaders like Ahmadullah Shah, From Faizabad, Bhakt Khan in Delhi, Kuwar Singh in Bihar emerged. They all started gathering here. So this is the beginning of basically a revolt of 1857 and the changes and the political and the economical environment that took place at that time. So students, we finish the first two topics here. We will cover the remaining topics in the second video. Thank you.